Hey, Shelby Joe Long here with the Genius Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm glad that you're joining us today. We are here to explore stories of people that have created businesses and income streams out of their genius. We do this to make a bigger impact in society and to solve problems that we recognize need to be solved. And we use our own genius, our own expertise to do so. I'm excited that you're here to join us. And I'm very excited to hear more from our guest today, Ruth Minemma, who is going to tell us a story about how she put together her whole program with Perspectives Coaching. So, Ruth, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Shelby. It's great to be here.
Yeah, tell us about yourself. Tell us about what you have going on.
I am a recently retired, about 2.5 years ago, nursing director from long-term care. I was an administrator briefly, but I always went back to nursing and mostly worked in nursing homes.
Yeah.
Specifically, I worked with how to deinstitutionalize nursing homes, knowing all the struggles and the problems and how important it is that in nursing homes, life is still worth living. And so that's what I spent my 30 plus years doing. When I retired, then I started Perspectives Coaching, which is dementia education and coaching that I do both. And that is really dedicated to telling the stories and enhancing relationships and decreasing stress of both people living with dementia and their care partners, companions.
Sure. There's a whole lot to dig into there.
Yes.
So you were a nurse for 30 years and then this dementia coaching, talk to me about what inspired you to think I'm assuming there are quite a few stories from your 30 years in experience that inspired you to do something more about that.
Occasionally, I would work maybe in a corporate setting, and I was always drawn right back to the nursing home because of relationships with the care partners, who are the staff that together partner with the residents. So it was both with the care partners and families and the people who live there, many of whom have dementia.
Sure.
And I honestly learned the most from families and people living with dementia. And so that relationship and how to nurture that has always been a real passion for me. And the stories and what I've learned are what continued to draw me back to working in nursing homes and why I established Perspectives Coaching.
Yeah. So tell me about the storytelling part of it. Is that, I mean, because I don't know if there's I don't know if we're going to solve dementia, right? But I think there's a way that we can, feels like an occupational therapy kind of thing, that there's a way we can deal with that. And yeah, tell me about the storytelling and how that fits into your whole program.
You're right. We can't cure dementia. There's not a cure on the horizon. And we can live well with dementia. And that really, the problem with dementia is that people think that because, let's say I'm living with dementia, people think then I get lost to dementia because I lose memories. And I may forget who I am, who you are. I may forget a family member. So I'm lost. The problem with that is I only become lost if my story is forgotten by my care partners who have the memory to retell my stories. And that's why stories are so important, because when I can no longer tell my story, I need care partners who will tell my story to me and for me. And that to me is the sacred work of being a dementia care partner.
Yeah, that's gosh, it feels so heavy, but it also feels like something that is easy is not the right word, but it feels like something I mean, it's all about the relationship, and it's all about having been a caretaker myself for both my parents, and I'm sure many other people can identify with this, that's not a very easy time of life, and it's a way that you can create and bond in that relationship. Is that what you've experienced?
Absolutely. And why that's so important is is because when I can't tell my story, then it does feel like I'm lost. And you hear those phrases like the long goodbye. This person is a shell of their former self. And that only recognizes the losses of dementia, and which are many. I don't deny any of the cognitive losses, but when I'm living with dementia, not all of me is lost to dementia. I still can enjoy my life in the moment, and I still can look in your eyes. And if I don't remember who you are, I still take in the emotion. Our relationship, you become my lifeline. And so my story and how we relate to each other, I enjoy that in the moment. I thrive on that. Even if I'm losing the ability to respond, I still take all that in. And you as my companion, when you can share that with me, then we can enjoy relationship together. It's different than before when I had memory. It's different when I could respond and I knew my story, but it's no less important and no less meaningful.
Right. So talk to me a little about the process of the coaching. So you have the patient tell the story, and then the story, where does it live? Is it something that's audio? Is it something that is written? I mean, I just think the consultant in me thinks that there's so many opportunities to, you know, to make that story live, that that's just interesting to me. So can you talk about
So
the process?
it can, let me share a couple different ways it can be done effectively. In long-term care and in assisted living, well, let me just talk about nursing homes. There's all of these regulations about care plans, and they typically are not helpful other than we meet regulations so we can pass survey. When in that setting, we understand that there's ways to meet regulations, but to tell my story and enjoy my story, then our relationship grows. And it be that whole process, which is so cumbersome and regulation based,
Mhm.
becomes relationship based. And that can be done narratively, in writing, it can be done in video, it can be done in snapshots. There's a variety of different ways to tell the story. That actually is true in the home setting as well. Ideally, my story, if I'm still living at home, we work on my story while I can still contribute to it, when
Mhm.
I can still contribute to it. Interestingly, I wrote there's a newsletter on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn page, that talks all about the importance of story and telling it, and how, let's say I have a home health team that's working with me. Then everyone, for example, if I've told my story and there's a 2 to 3 minute video about my story, or my family's told my story with pictures, with video, depending, then everybody who comes in to support me knows my story because they've watched my 2 to 3 minute video.
Mhm.
Or they've looked through a brief storybook that captures my story with pictures. I think it's really important that we use as much visual as possible and realize that we're really busy people and we can't stop and watch a 10, 12, 15 minute story or read through pages and pages. But we can take 2 to 3 minutes to understand who I am, what
Yeah.
my identity is. We use the Eden of alternative domains of well-being as the foundation for the story, and how to collect and format the story. And actually, I use that whether it's in the home setting or in memory care, assisted living, nursing homes, that foundation works well to tell my story.
Yeah. Gosh, I just have so many questions. So this is, my question is, there's a big benefit for the caretakers in this scenario, because the caretakers, whether they're with the institution, with the nursing home, doctors, parents, or siblings and kids and all that, we can all share the same story, and it almost humanizes the care a little bit. Not that it's not human, but there's more personality to it. There's more empathy involved in it. I think that's important. So I could see the huge benefit to the caretakers. Is there, and this might be, I don't know if this scientific, is there some benefit? What is the benefit for the patient telling their story and reliving those memories that you've
I,
experienced?
that's a really good question, and I'm going to answer it with a story.
Okay.
This is a story about my mom, who was in an assisted living out of state. And I wanted to, and I liked the word you used, to humanize, because it is humanizing care. Because my mom, no matter how good a nursing home or an assisted living or a memory care is, it's still an institution.
Yeah.
And so we need to deinstitutionalize that care. And it's important that we recognize that.
Yeah.
I was trying to do that. So I made my mom's 3-minute video story, and I went to her assisted living and requested that I show the story to the entire team, as many as I could. And I invited my mom also to watch her own story. And she watched that story and she, oh, that's me. Oh, oh, yeah. And she was so engaged, and the interactions between her and the care partners were amazing, because the care partners, several had tears in their eyes, because they said, I didn't know that was your mom's story. I had
Oh.
no idea. Now I know what to talk to her about. And mom was there emphasizing the importance of whatever slides. She likes Scrabble. I do like Scrabble. She couldn't
Hmm.
pull that out and remember, but she could see a picture of her playing Scrabble. She could see
Yeah.
a picture of her at the organ, and I did play the organ. So it benefits all. And you can hear, even in this story, the importance of the relationship as the story was being told.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's that's amazing to hear that.
I was thrilled to be there and be a part of it. Interestingly, one more quick aside, we didn't end up keeping her at that place, but I took the story to other assisted livings, and I said to them, how will you honor my mother? And when you go on the tour and that sort of thing. And we moved her to the place that said, that story's so valuable, we commit to you, every person before they go in her room will have watched that video. And they did that, and the care was, I couldn't say enough about that community, because they honored my mom, her identity, long after she had forgotten it.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I have so many questions about the business model. But before we get to the business, kind of how you're, because that's a huge impact as a caretaker and with the parent that has lost their memory. That's a huge impact that you are making. The huge impact that you made with yourself and your mom and the caretakers. But then the I was thinking about the number of people in memory care, or the number of people that, you know, that have that this is a part of their lives, or they're a caretaker for somebody. I think that's going to make such a big impact. But I will tell you I will quickly tell you my story. I'm going to give myself a minute to tell you my story. But I was in a car accident when at the end of my junior year of high school, and I was in a coma for 16 days. And I was in recovery for 4 weeks after that, in a very intensive recovery with language therapy, physical therapy, all sorts of things. I'd lost my ability to walk because my left side was paralyzed. I had to relearn everything, and had a traumatic brain injury. And it was I was very, very fortunate that everything came back very quickly. And I just had, I broke my pelvis in 3 places from a seatbelt, car wreck. And so that healed. And physically, I came back because I was working the muscles. And I actually went back to school, very fortunate to go back to school my senior year. And then I went to college the following fall. And I wrote a book about it. And this is nothing scientific, but in my perspective, the more you engage your brain, and even if you can't do it to the function that you did before, the better it prepares you for the next. It's all growth. It's all rebuilding. And I was in high school debate and I was in college debate, and I really do feel that speaking, and we met in a speaking community, I really do feel that speaking and communicating is a way that we can re-energize those synapses and really give you some emotion back about that. And that was my experience. And it just makes you think of the other side, when you're on the side when you're losing your memory and those synapses are not as strong as they used to be. I wonder if there's a, again, not scientific, but I wonder if there's something there to like re-engaging those things and telling those stories, and it makes things a little easier. So
Well, here would be my short response to that is whether you really can reestablish the synapses. Research is not necessarily supporting that, though it's not conclusive. However, that doesn't mean that you can't learn anything. And here's it, but it's possibly a different kind of learning. And here's the piece though, and I'm speaking about dementia now, is that the emotions of dementia are what are contagious and what lasts, not the facts.
yeah.
So when I take in positive emotion, with emotion that feeds my soul, who I am, that's what I remember. I don't remember why. I
Yeah.
don't remember who, but but the emotion is lasting and contagious. So is that learning? It's experiential learning. It builds, but it's a different way to look at that versus
Yeah.
cognitive facts.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And that is
And
true.
think about what we can learn, us factual, rational people.
Yeah.
What we can learn about the side of us that tends to get lost more quickly unless we're these really hearts on our sleeves people. We work in and we live in a factual cognitive world. And so think what you can learn from me when I'm living with dementia about emotional communication, about quality of relationship in the moment. It's
Yeah,
all in my story and my identity and my connections.
absolutely. That's that's amazing. So what are your plans with your coaching industry? Are you trying to get into all nursing homes and have this be a licensed program? Or what's the vision for what you can do? Because I think you've got a pretty powerful message. So,
So I've reached out to a couple different to right now with 3 different potential resources.
mhm.
I'm a company of one person
Yeah.
with a lot of passion,
Yeah.
and I'm looking to partner with someone to do this on a bigger scale. And I have several different options that I'm working on. In the meantime, I continue to enjoy doing stories, and my tagline is creating hope one story at a time, because that's really how that works. It's not 50,000 stories at a time. It's one story at a time. If you're going to go to a larger audience and economies of scale, you're still creating hope one story at a time. And so I do hope this goes. I'd love to see it in every nursing home. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
would in every memory care, and as opposed to the just it, in technology, sometimes you sacrifice identity and connection to efficiency. And that's the challenge, because that's the challenge of computers, is identity and connection and meaning and joy, because you can't just go schedule all that and program it into a computer. So yeah, I do hope that it goes into nursing homes nationwide. And I have several different ways I'm looking at that, but I'm not sure. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
See what happens. It's you're providing a big impact regardless of what you do. So it's
It's interesting. One more quick story. Uh, and because it isn't only for elders, people losing their
right.
memory. I just did a story in the last month with someone here in town who is 41. He does live in an assisted living. He ended up through life, an event when he was 20, he lost his sight totally. And we ended up going to the Colorado Center for the Blind together, and where he really found his life back. And why I'm telling you this story is because my going there with an hour, in an hour to an hour and a half, I learned so much about how to support people who are visually challenged, who've lost their sight.
Sure.
And that just through telling his story and tagging along with them at Colorado Center for the Blind. So I think there's so much potential here to humanize healthcare. Can't you imagine if you went to a doctor's office and they watched your 2-minute video before they saw you, and you weren't just this medical history with diagnoses and a med list?
Right.
So I think it has potential impact in a lot of ways to improve healthcare.
It's a big call, but
Yeah,
it
yes.
definitely can be.
And
And
I'm really appreciative that you see that and appreciate that.
yeah, of course. It solves a very prominent problem isn't the right word, but it's a challenge. And it
Mhm.
addresses a challenge that is going to hit every single one of us. Maybe
At
not the
some
dementia
point.
part, but at some point. It's the caretaker piece, whether it's now or it's whether you're a parent or you have parents. Everybody has parents, so it's something. Those are questions to deal with for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Ruth, this is great. Where can our audience find you and understand more about this mission that you're on?
I am on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. As of April 1, I'm going to be posting at least weekly there. And my website is www.perspectivescoaching.us. And you can reach out to me either on social media or my website.
Great. I look forward to reading your newsletters and to
LinkedIn newsletter is really, I have the most, about 6 months worth of kind of my vision.
yeah, that's amazing. Well, congratulations. And I look forward to learning more about your journey and learning more about the impact that you're going to make because you are going to make a big impact.
Thank you, Shelby. This has been
Yeah.
fun talking and dreaming with you.
Yes. And Ruth, thank you so much for telling your story. I hope you, our audience, are inspired to think about your genius and your passion in a different way because there is a way that you can make a bigger impact in this world, one story at a time, but that one story at a time has a ripple effect into many different communities. So thank you for giving us that.
Thank you.
And to all you potential genius entrepreneurs out there, feel free to reach out at any time. Let's talk about your genius. Let's talk about what you have going on. There is a way for you to enter it into the marketplace with your unique story. So we'll see you next time.